system is absolutely rigged. It's a phony deal. That system is set up so that the crooked politicians can make sure they get somebody in that's not, part of what we're doing. This is a movement, folks. I'm self-funding my campaign. They hate it.
Charges of a rigged system, talk of a brokered convention. One thing is for sure, this year's GOP convention in Cleveland will be a memorable one, with a lot of scenarios in play. Joining me now to talk about some of them is Randy Evans, a member of the RNC Rules Committee. Good evening, Randy. Thanks for being with us tonight. All right.
Judge, thank you for having me.
Okay, so there is a Rules Committee meeting in Cleveland a week before the convention where you can change the rules.
Where the rules can be recommended to be changed. Remember, only the floor of the convention itself can change the rules. But there will be a Convention Rules Committee meeting the week before the convention begins to recommend rules for the delegates on the floor of the convention to adopt during the first 2 days of the convention.
Okay, so let's talk about the delegates. Look, next week in Pennsylvania, for example, Donald Trump can win the popular vote, but he may not get the majority of delegates because only 17 of the state's 71 delegates are awarded to the top vote getter, and the other 54 vote for who the state tells them to vote for. That's you guys.
Well, no, they have 54 unbound delegates, and that's why I said earlier in the week that I thought that if Donald Trump got to around 1,100, he could cobble together the other 137 out of the about 200 unbound delegates that'll be floating around looking to be on the winning team.
Okay, those 200 unbound looking to be on the winning team, how do you get them on your winning team? It's not like they don't know the issues or the candidates.
Well, remember, you've got a whole generation of insiders who are looking at the possibility of an outsider being in the White House, and you see that you can help put him over the finish line. Now, what would you do if you wanted to stay as an insider? You'd be jumping on the bandwagon. I think that's what will happen. It's what's always happened in the past. We saw it in 1976, 1980. We saw it with President Obama. As you get closer and closer to that threshold, closer and closer to winning, there'll be more and more people jumping on the bandwagon.
All right. Now, I assume that some of you guys, the week before the convention, are already talking about what you're going to recommend to go to the floor of the convention. I mean, it's not like you're going to get there a week before and say, gee, guys, I was just thinking about this. You're communicating, you're calling, you're talking to each other. What is the movement? What do they want to change?
I think the general consensus of the committee is to make no changes, which is we're in the middle of the ball game. Don't change the rules in the middle of the game. We played 7 innings with this set of rules. Might as well finish out the last 2 innings with the same set of rules.
But they didn't do that. They didn't do that in 2012 with Mitt Romney and Ron Paul.
Right, but you had a presumptive nominee there who had voting control of the floor of the convention. And so as a presumptive nominee, you then can set whatever rules of the game that you want. Now, Governor Romney wanted to make sure that nobody else got a name in nomination and nobody else could get votes. So he put his people in. He had voting control of the floor of the convention, and they put in these pretty archaic rules that we now live under.
All right, Randy, we all know that Donald Trump is not an insider, okay? And that the insiders are more weighted, for the insiders. So, going to the convention, I mean, I think the chances are more likely than not, if Donald does not get 1237, that people are going to say, great, let's on the first vote, second vote, whatever it is, who's unbound, who's bound. What are they going to do? Sue the delegate if they don't vote for who they were supposed to vote for? I mean, you can fix this.
Well, listen, in many of the states, it's a criminal misdemeanor to not fulfill your obligation as you are bound to vote based on the primary results.
How many prosecutions have you seen like that?
Well, I tell you, I think that you underestimate how seriously people take it. But I will agree with you on this, Judge, which is I think if neither candidate gets to 1,000, we're looking at a wide-open convention where anything can happen. I think if it's over 1,100, the bandwagon effect will push Trump over the top. But if you're in that middle part, 1,000 and 1,100, I think you're going to see deals cut. I think you're going to see a situation where you got a nominee, a candidate go to a state chairman somewhere and say, you've got 166 delegates sitting out there. Wouldn't your senator like to be my running mate? because the running mates make a big difference and they can deliver delegates too. So I think there'll be plenty of deal making going on if we're in that critical window between 1,000 and 1,100 delegates to any one candidate.
And it seems to me, Randy, that it's the swing states that are really going to matter there. Anyway, Randy Evans, thanks so much for being with us tonight.
Thank you. And I would add one other thing.
Quickly.
If Hillary had spent as much time protecting classified information as she does the Wall Street transcripts, she wouldn't have a server problem.
Well said. Thank you, Randy. Anyway, Street Justice is next. Don't miss it.